Recording.
It is recording?
Yep. It says it on my screen. I can't hear you. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, just a sec. I'm back to my chair in a minute. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Is recording? Okay. Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us to this session of Draw to Perform online meetings with artists. We have here John Court with us today. Thank you, John, for hosting us in your studio there in Finland.
Thanks for inviting me.
Just to remind you all, those online session of Draw to Perform were planned as the pandemic started, and we wanted to connect more with people that relate to drawing, to performance and action, or shall I say performative drawing, and try to visit and see what other peoples are doing in their private spaces, and also the development of their work at present, but also to talk with them quite about the things that they did in the past, all the body of work that they build, and to actually most of it is to brainstorm about this practice, and to try to raise questions, and to put questions and to kind of like find few answers to main subjects that relate to performative drawing, to drawing and performance, and generally to creation and to art. I would like to thank you all for joining us today. It's really I'm happy to see a few faces that I know from Draw to Perform, or from online on Facebook or Instagram, but also other people that I'm not familiar. Actually, I would like to say that it was really an interesting process for me to follow the people that registered this time, and I really went and Googled everybody, and found amazing people creating amazing things. So thank you for showing me yourself, and yes, who knows where it can go. So that was my introduction. So before we start, and in terms of the structure of this meeting today, Alma will present to us the John Court, And John, I will have a discussion with John afterward, and then we'll open it for a questions and answer session. Now I know that sometimes people don't like to participate. Sometimes people kind of, because we're recording it, a little bit shy. But please, if you do have a question, share it with us. You don't have to show yourself. Just close your video and yeah, dive in. Alma, are you with us?
Hi.
Hi, Alma. Can you tell us a little bit about John practice, please?
Yep. John Court has been living and working in Tornio, Finland since 1997. Court works in the medium of performance, sculpture, drawing, prints, videos, and books. All the works are strongly performance-based. Court is a durational performance artist. Time is one of the most important elements in his work. Often he performs for 8 hours, the length of a workday. Other times, he performs throughout an entire event or during the opening hours of a specific venue in which the event takes place on each single day. Lately, John has been interested in letting the objects and materials that he uses in his performances determine the duration of his work. He does not consider his performances as solo pieces, since the element of collaboration is inherent in them, be it through his engagement with curators, organizers, artists, viewers, objects, spaces, and time. Court's works are responsive to the site, and often the continuous repetitive action creates a rhythm that runs parallel to that of the site. In all his works, he is fundamentally concerned with drawing or writing, as drawing connects line, movement, space, and time. John Court has exhibited extensively and has been invited to perform at major events and festivals around the world.
Thank you, Alma.
Thank you.
In more personal level, John and I collaborated in the first Draw to Perform symposium, which was in 2013. I invited him to come and participate in London, and John did then. Was it 4 hours? I think, yeah. It's the duration of the event. All the duration of the event. John was in a back room. There was a large room where all the short performances were happening. John chose a back room with a low ceiling to do his 4-hour performance. He did not see any of the other performances, I think. and actually, it will be a good place to start in terms of the how shall I call it, this thing where you are determined on what you're doing, and you devoted to what you're doing, and yeah, it's a choice. And John chose to do this 4-hour intensive and inspiring performance, where he stood on a wooden cube that he built, and with a marker drew constantly, repetitively letters. I think it was kind of intuitive, right, John?
The individual words, but the next word doesn't have anything to do with the next word, but all the words have to do with art. So it can be that. That is a good word.
Okay.
It's not like that. But like, like it's just what words I use in art. Like, as long as I'm allowed to use them, I can't kind of use coffee, tea, or whereas it's just completely focusing on art. But it could be performance, it could be the word. Art's really good because it's really easy. You know, 3 letters. So I could write art all day. It's lovely. So there were individual words, and then every time I would finish, it was 60 by 60 cube, and every time I finished, I would turn it over, but I wasn't allowed to use my hands because the ceiling was so low. So you can kind of, you know, you can move it like quite easily. So it was, and I choose it because when I went there, the first space I can never use because it's consistently changing, and I don't want to stop someone else doing it, or my banging, or my kind of movement, or it's even quite rude having someone turn around and look at you when there's a kind of a small, like a shorter performance going. I prefer people, so I always end up kind of somewhere else some of the time, not all the time. Now I can get bigger spaces, or I have rooms. But for me, like I go there, I kind of had an idea of, you know, like to kind of use kind of some marks to document like the performance or the time. And then I only make the choices when I'm there, because all the houses are so small. Like, I feel so suffocated when I'm there because everything's so small. So I wanted to use the smallest space, because in London the real estate is so
They are small.
high. So you know, so then it come, and then with the ceilings low, I just don't use my hands, and then I just bend over. So you just bend over, right, and you write on the opposite hand as well. It goes back to Artra, like the Artra one. That's where it goes back to, where it's kind of confronting dyslexia and my experience with that.
Wait, but I haven't started the conversation, just to say. I'm joking, but I just before we'll start, I just want to summarize that one of the most incredible things that were in John's performance at Draw to Perform was the sound. Actually, this is the one thing that I remember mostly. Because the performance was made with a marker, and the marker did those squinky noises, sometimes loud, sometimes yeah, it wasn't too loud, because I think you're a person that don't like to interrupt others, so you were concerned with not interrupting the other performances, but the performance was at the back of the room. So when you enter the room, you kind of like immediately heard the sound, and then you got closer and you saw the action. So the sound of the performance was quite I quite remember. And this is another subject that maybe we can talk, because now I understand that it's quite dominant in your work, Joe. But hi, John. Thanks for thanks for being with us. And now, after my introduction here, the stage is yours. So I'm pinning here. You, everybody can see you now. Loud and clear.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I prefer to keep everything like the sound minimum, because I don't want to stop the performance. But at the end of the day, I will never stop. You know, like, but I would prefer to kind of like when you're doing duration, you kind of you can't take the main stage. You know, like if there's other people performing, then the whole thing is for me to go from the time to the time. So it's really kind of important for me to kind of consider. But I would say sound is quite important in the work anyway. I mean, some of the performances I think are sound pieces more than other pieces. I would like to try to put this video on.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you, how would you like it to be? Would you like to present something? Would you like to start with the questions, or me asking, or how would you like to?
If the video works, then I have the sound down on the video, and then I can talk, and then if anybody else wants to talk, and if you want to ask questions. Excellent. But the first video is Artra, which is very relevant to the one we just talked about. So it could be quite nice to kind of.
Can you introduce the video? Or,
yeah, I just take this background off now, because this. Oh, back to here. Yeah, so I would talk like when the video's on because there's no
Okay.
sound, so it's easy for me to. If there's any problems, just say, and I won't. I'll take the sound because I take the sound off it. Um, and yeah,
Okay, I thought it's this video. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
And
So
that was.
you just see the video, yes?
Mhm.
Yeah. So like where this the one I did in Draw to Perform, the first one actually was based on this one. Like so this is and this kind of performance was kind of in my response to kind of my learning experience, especially the school time. This I think I did it in first time I did it in 2006 and I did 2 layers, but this one was in 2008 and I think after the first time I was able to do 3 layers sort of thing, and it's left hand and you kind of just write individual art words and then you just go on to the next art word or like but there's no sentences. um Even though physically probably after these are 8 hour, this is an 8 hour performance and it takes out 8 hours to do sort of thing. So the 8 hour kind of time come where a lot of the other performances before this come from the 8 hour working day. And I thought if people don't really understand what they're doing, then they can understand like how like the 8 hour working day, so maybe it would evaluate it, or maybe yeah, so that's kind of why I started doing these 8 hour performances. But at one in these earlier times I would only do 8 hours, I wouldn't want to do anything else, but now I'm kind of quite flexible on the time. I like to work within the time of the you know, if it's a gallery or a museum, then I can work that time. So this is in Cardiff in Trace Gallery. I could actually see if I can have a bit of. Tell me if you can hear the sound. Oh, no. Can you hear the sound? Yes.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Gallery.
It's a Trace Gallery in Cardiff. It was
Andre Stitt.
yeah, Andre Stitt, yeah, in his front room.
Yeah.
He kind of invited me. I think it was the second to last one that was that he had. And he kind of asked me, the thing with it, like the thing is, the lower I am, the better, because the whole space smells of these pens. And after 10 hours, I mean, after 8 hours, I mean, it gets quite heavy, the space. So the best place to be is on the ground, you know. So kind of, and it becomes really systematical. I don't have to. I just visualize the words and they come out. And the first layer is always the hardest layer for me because I'm so judged by what I write. I want to finish it as quick as possible. And then when I do the second layer, I can relax a bit because you can't really read what I say because my words are and, art, performance, that. You know, like the very simple words. They're kind of not. I can't. I mean, and then there's of course lots of spelling mistakes in it and stuff like that. So this is I do have another video. I think it's on Vimma. Like a lot of the videos on Vimma, and there's a lot more videos. But then I have one of 8 hours into 8 minutes where it speeds up as well. So it's left-handed, always left-handed.
Was it a choice to keep your other hand behind your back this time?
Yeah, it's kind of like restricting, like physically, because I feel mentally I'm quite restricted in kind of my kind of this kind of dyslexia. I'm not sure if it's I've never learned to learn, or whether I mean I don't understand what the problem is. I just know what it feels like.
You just
Even
learn
now.
in a different way. I'm dyslexic too.
Yeah. I mean, the blank page, for example, that is like the blank page is really, if you think about a blank page and what you can do with a blank page, amazing. But when you have to write an art statement on there, it makes me feel so sick. Like, And then like this guy, like not like this person that actually was visiting Andre at the time, so he kind of stayed there for the whole time. And what I like about duration is that, like you know, I feel with duration myself, that I have more of a choice. I can really kind of make it what I want to make it. I kind of really enjoy. I'm a practitioner. I'm not a kind of looker. And like what Ram says, most of the time when I'm kind of in a festival, I'm kind of somewhere, I'm actually kind of just making the art. You know, I very rarely do I get a chance to see anything else that's going on. But yeah, like 30 pens a day. I think it was only 36 pens. It was.
It's good
And,
that we had the panel discussion day after in Draw to Perform, so we could hear you talk and understand a few things. But John, we are visiting your studio, right? I believe behind you is the studio. Can you share with us a little bit of what you are doing recently, or what you are?
yeah. Well, this is right. I'll show you if you want to know what I'm doing or what I've just done. I have to turn. I'll just put you here. So, actually, I said Ram, one of these stars, haven't I? I see.
Yeah.
Can you see them? Can you see the star? So these are 5-pointed stars. This is 8-point star. And this is 12-point star. And this is 19-point star. My choice of points is an action. There's no real. I picked a star because, like, we're all stars, and they're always upstairs. You know, they're above us all the time, and that kind of and the way, you know, like stars are sun, the energy and stuff like that, and they're so small. So I just wanted to pick something, but it was mainly about the action. I'm interested in the action. So what I've done, I have to show you. I'm gonna have to show you some the actual, because these are the drawings. But then what I do is I kind of scan them and then I invert them to make a bigger drawing. So I've got this. I just put this now. I just want to go to the first one. Okay, I'm gonna go to the first one first. So this is the first. This is the. Oh, yeah, it keeps on going. Okay, well, this is the oh, yeah, right, sorry. So this is the this is the 4-point, the 5-point star. So what I do is I kind of make, I think it's 30, 12. I think it's 34 drawings or something like that. The first day I will do 34, and I'm trying to draw the perfect 5-star, pointy star. But you know, at some point the movement just takes over, and I just get into it. And then what I'm allowed to do the next day, I'm allowed to do maybe 10 more, you know. But it's quite important that I kind of do at least the amount that's on the page now the first day. So I kind of
what do you mean when you're saying you are allowed to do?
I can't do 1 or 2. I kind of have to complete it, but then I'm allowed to kind of, because sometimes the pencil just takes over and they're not individual. The page becomes 1 page. I'm trying to draw an individual star, which is like the perfect 5-pointed star, or the perfect action. It's not necessarily about the visual point, is about the action. Do you want to see a bit closer of that? Because I can get it. Like,
Yes, please.
Where was it? Let's go here. You see here. Let me see if I've got a perfect star somewhere. You see, I've got a lot of problematic stars. No,
Yeah.
like I say, for me, like I think art is not, for me, it's not so, it's not about visual. It's about the experience. For me, personally, and you know, in performance, I can't see what I'm doing. I can only feel it, and I kind of feel when it's kind of saying what I want it to say.
John, it's there's a lot of things that relate to repetition and also obsession in this body of work, which I think we will talk about it later. But I would like to start maybe asking you about from where this series of painting came, because or maybe share with us your experience of the last year being in the pandemic and letting us a little bit know how you coped with it, or what did it change your studio practice or more?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna sit down. I have to sit down for this. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's the same for everybody in artistically, not for life and things that happen. I think, you know, like there's some people that have had much different experience than me, but artistically, last year was there was things in place, so then things happen. This year there's nothing in place, like performance wise, festival wise, and stuff like that, and even art things, which I think is a completely different area and different problem. Things have been delayed completely. So
but did it open the other doors? So I remember when we talked, you said that you are doing those drawings with your family while the children are running.
yeah,
So
well, these drawings which I just showed you, they're done on the kitchen table. And so kind of people are coming all the time, and it's kind of like, and they say, what are you drawing? I'm just drawing some stars, and they see them all the time, you know, they just think it's normal for me to do. I think they think that's what artists do, you know, and I always share, even with the videos, and, you know, like more recently, now I'm making videos. I have a 1 minute time thing. I've been actually, well, we could talk about studio. Like, I think my body is my studio. So actually, for me, it's kind of it's easier because my studio is here now. This is my studio. I just give you a little kind of glimpse of the sort of space I have. I have very little space, but then I have lots of stuff. So, you know, so I have so much work like here, and I would say probably 70-80% has never been seen, you know. I just make work. I think the problem is actually showing it. I think that's the problem. I don't think the system works very well.
and did you find yourself producing more art this year, or it doesn't matter? You have this routine of yours.
I mean, I would say kind of winter is tough because it's so dark, and probably most of the time, I kind of just, you know, I meditate a lot. I kind of physically work out, like, you know, and I kind of consider that's art. I would say, yeah, I mean, I think yeah, I mean, I'm probably lost as everybody else, you know, to be honest with you.
But when we talked just a week ago, it was in another space. So you have few spaces that you are practice or.
Yeah, I'm going to show you my space. I'll show you my space, what I was working with the week that has just gone.
And there is the sea also that you're.
Yeah, this is the space. So this is why I did I went like, I was here. I did this on Tuesday. I made this kind of, I got the videos, I've got these videos, and I only done them last week. I'm making these 1 minute videos. I probably did about 10. I probably got 2. And I actually got a sound piece as well, this walking piece on the ice. So for the last well, actually since March, I did this kind of performance, video performance. I did it in March, and I kind of woke up from winter, right? And it was very strange. Since this pandemic's come, there's been a couple of times when I've been performing, I kind of felt that I've never performed before. You know, it was, you know, like last year when there was the I had this exhibition, and throughout this exhibition they extended it longer, and that was the ramp, you know, the rocking one that goes up and down, and then I think it was the fourth performance. I hadn't thought about art for the whole summer because nothing was going on, and then I kind of had to do this performance, and it, you know, I just, yeah, it's just always feels like kind of new performing. It never feels easy, you know. It's not, I don't enjoy it in a sense. It's kind of, I need to do it.
Were you barefoot for this on ice performance, or with shoes? Were you barefoot or with shoes?
No, I wear shoes. I wear shoes.
Is this because it's ice? So because you get like quite interesting marks as it sort of melts around the feet. I don't know if it does the same on your ice, maybe.
Yeah, John, can you explain a little bit of what you were doing on the ice?
Yeah, I can. I have these sticks. I have lots of sticks here, you know. I like my sticks. So I have these sticks because they kind of, they have a distance, right, and they can make a sound. I just put them together. I kind of join them together, and then I kind of just put them in the middle, and then I walk round. And I start walking around. I walk around 10 times one way, and I walk 10 times the other way. Oh no, you can't see because I got.
It's becoming really interesting because you are doing performance now with the background.
let me take this off this back screen.
No, I liked it.
No, you have to see my sticks. My sticks. They're like, yeah. So I have these sticks. So I mean. So I join them together and I make them as long as possible, these sticks, and then I put them in the middle, and then I start walking round, like, and so that chooses the space I use, and then I just did it. I mean, for me, that is just doing an action. I record it. And now, for example, what's new that's come up with this situation is that I start using the video as the object, and I'm kind of hopefully I am making performance videos now. That's where the other ones I show you and their documentations of performances.
So one of the things, the actions that you did, you put the video on a ball or something, and then it's rolling, right?
Stick, on the end of the stick.
Ah, on the end of
another stick. Look, this is another stick, and I have the. I have the camera there. I put it on the end there, and then I kind of. I'll show you a short video of one, because it's easier to explain. Where was it? That's just share screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I went out on the ice, and this was pretty cold. This was -10. And it was deep snow, and I had to walk out there. It was pretty. Now it's different because it's kind of ice now. Before, because there's so much snow and there's ice underneath, and then over the time it starts to get. Oh, turn the sound down. Oh no, you can have a better sound.
You're suffering.
I love it.
Thanks.
So this is a 1 minute video.
No, this was a 30-minute performance.
Okay.
Basically, it was just panic. It was just, I had a plan and I didn't stick to the plan. I just threw this thing around for like.
Tell us a little bit about plan and don't stick to the plan. Is it happening a lot, or most of the time?
Well, I mean, normally if I keep it really simple, then you can't really go wrong. You know, like that's why I use repetition, because like at the beginning, for the first hour or the first like 2, or it depends. There's a long period of time when I'm just completely not even, I'm not even there yet. But then there's a point in the performance where I kind of I just know that I become like, especially when I kind of connect with the object and the object starts to tell me, you know, and and then that point I know what the work is, and is, you know, then everything's fine, you know. And then, but it can take a long time. There's no time, there's no rules when it can happen, like sort of thing. This, like the work I'm making now is about this kind of what's going on at the moment, you know. This is my way of expressing it, or trying to explain it, you know. I mean, you can't help but kind of be connected by it.
So when we are seeing those poses, what are you doing there?
Well,
when we are seeing that there are poses in the video, you just leave the stick on the ground?
I'm throwing the stick and then I have to go and pick it up.
Okay.
I'm just throwing.
Okay.
You know, that it wasn't
like you throw it to a dog.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not sure a dog would want to pick it up, but yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and like this, but also like sometimes what's this one doing behind? This is not supposed to. You know, sometimes like this bit, my hands are so cold, you can't touch the snow, so I have to rub it, you know. And of course I don't want to touch your hand. You don't see what I'm doing with my hands. I've got my hands down my trousers trying to warm them up, you know. And like you see sometimes in the video, it's kind of like but this is out on the sea, like where I'm living. It's literally just down there, like it's about, well, it's 30-second walk down by the sea. I live by the sea, so it's really nice place.
John, sorry, can you tell us a little bit about the difference between doing a live action, even in your studio, or doing a live performance or an action to the camera or in front of the camera? Is it different for you?
The way I'm doing it now, I feel that it is it kind of is benefits without an audience. I think this way, using the object or having the object as part of the work, the camera having been part of the work, I find it is the audience, and I like doing it that way. Otherwise, I'm struggling with just going out to the forest and just doing it for no one, you know. I can do you know, trees, they're good people to have around. Like trees really kind of, no, but they're kind of like, they're like the viewer. I've done it before, but the possibility of an audience is really important. I really enjoy that. For me, that is you know, they don't have to be, because you know, for a durational work for 8 hours, you're not going to have people there all the time. Not all the time.
Sure.
Sometimes it is, you know. I've performed in front of 10 people for 8 hours, you know, or I've performed in front of whatever, like people constantly passing past, you know.
Do you miss the unexpected of somebody showing up? So I think that's what's
exactly.
missing.
Yeah, the fear. The fear of someone showing up. Yeah, I mean, if I'm sitting down having a drink, or you know, relaxing, it doesn't really look good on the picture. You know, I want everybody to, you know, like I remember doing this performance down in this kind of ditch in this forest, and I'm bouncing this tree up and down, and I was loving it. And then I realized, oh, you know, this is getting a bit tiring, and then I I can't figure out if the trees are people or whether people are here, or so it I just do the time with that piece. It was determined by the actual, when I stopped bouncing it, or when I couldn't bounce it anymore, then the performance stopped. So it was an unknown time performance. So that was, I like doing them ones as well. Like, it kind of gives me a bit more freedom as well sometimes.
John, before we go to the questions and we'll open the platform, I would like to touch a little bit about your past work. So from where are you coming? Did you, like, I told you, I think in our last conversation, that when I'm sharing your work online, and like if I have to share it on Facebook groups, there are those, it's easy for me to share it immediately on a performance art group because it has quite a relationship to performance. But did you come from performance, or did you start it as a painter, or maybe
yeah, I studied sculpture, and kind of basically I kind of decided to be the sculpture instead of the object. Like, I kind of use my body as the sculpture in the end of my sculptural time. But even when I was like I said to you last time, like I think like about drawing and performance, and like I definitely have a visual practice in performance. Like, it comes from a visual background, but all my performances start with a drawing and then they're finished with a drawing. And like with the book, I kind of, like, they're diagrammatical drawings, and they kind of have a purpose. The purpose is to allow me to remember the experience of when I have an idea. So I see it, and then I'm like, yeah, I know where that is, or I can. Sometimes it's visual, sometimes it's a sensual, like more taste, or kind of, or kind of like it's yeah. I can't really explain it. I can just go back to that point where I've done the drawing. So I've done a lot of drawings which are just they're just purposes for ideas.
But John, when I know that a lot of performance artists, when you are talking with them about drawing in relation to their work, they will say that drawing is just one of many materials that they use to for their art, or for their in their art or in their performance. But I have a feeling that drawing with you is something that is really crucial or important, because you keep coming back to it, or you keep including it in your work, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's you leave a mark if you make a draw, even if it's temporary. Like, you look at some of the stuff I've done with the rotations, with the chalk and stuff like that. Like the one, let me just see it. Like, if I have this video, like where was it? I just want to show. I don't want to show the video. I show the I just show you the place, the performer. Like, because this is quite where is it? Where was it? You haven't seen that one, man, have you?
No.
This one. This one. Let me turn it down. Like, this performance. Like, this is the performance. It's supposed to go like this. Like, and it's about like making art without your hands in one sense.
You have to share it, John.
Oh, I haven't shown. Yeah, I'm new to this.
No worries.
Yeah. It was quite nice that I took. So this one, this is the way I kind of visualize this work. So I have this table, and then it's kind of extended arm, and I'm kind of making a piece of art without using my hands, and I'm actually I'm kind of making circles on my arms, on my fingers, and then someone said, oh, are they circles or are they numbers? I mean, I would say they're more numbers, but they're actually, I make the circle and it finishes when I complete a circle. So
and is it charcoal or
no, marker pen, these black marker pens. So the whole point is not to use your hands to move it, make this work. But then after a period of time, this breaks. The black tape, the little thing breaks on it, and it completely changes the work. Like you see now, like I like it completely changes now the work. So that's what it's supposed to go like, and then it ends up like this. You have these spirals. This stick, the stick that's making the spirals, I put on the table, and then it falls off or it moves off when I'm moving around, and then it makes these spirals. So I have no, I didn't intend to do that. That happened. So yeah. So I mean, like my drawings, like it's like it wasn't intended to be like this. Like,
sorry, just a sec. So which material there is on the ground?
That's chalk. It's chalk on the ground.
And my question is, sorry, John, my question is, why do you need this chalk on the ground? Because you can do this action without the chalk, because the chalk is the one that showing us a mark, right?
Yeah,
and
I mean,
you choose to do to show the mark. So why is it important for you? My question will be, sorry.
Like the chalk, the chalk is for
showing the traces of the chalk in your action.
Yeah, and also it makes it easier for the thing to go round. There's a function to it, but yeah, to record or document the marks, to make like I kind of, that's why I think why the drawing or this element of mark making is in the work, because it shows time. With time, whatever you do, like if you just do a line, you do it for an hour, it just makes something completely unique. It's just different. It's just a different situation. It's just the time to
marking the time.
Same with these ones. It's the time that makes the work, not necessarily. And that's why kind of repetition is really important, like for that that kind of that kind of experience. But you see at the beginning of that one, it was completely different, and then it kind of changed, and then within time, and then it's like when the kind of material and me or the object becomes together, and then it just kind of goes into it. But I would also say that this practical of making it a bit easier for me to carry on to the end. That chalk, sometimes the first time I used chalk, that was definitely about making it easier for me. But then you get these kind of time, it's like a clock, like it's like recording time, and like with a material.
What was the title of that work, John?
Sorry?
What was the title of that work?
Untitled, that one.
Untitled so far.
Yeah, a lot of them are untitled, because I don't know what I'm doing before I start. Literally, most of them are actually, they're not conceived until I get there. Like, like a lot of them, these kind of videos normally have a title now, which is really strange. But with that, I was coming from one place, and then I kind of knew I wanted to use this table, and I kind of knew I didn't want to use my hands. And then I've used chalk once or twice before, I can't remember. But then it was all about the room. I can't decide until I see the room, until I feel the room. Like where Ram was saying about the small space and that space are completely different. And there was these walls around there, and they said, "Do you want the walls there?" And I said, "No, thank you." Like, because there's people eating their dinner, and they're going to sit there eating their dinner, watching me go around. So I'm very happy. You always have to, for me, I always kind of I made that mistake on deciding before I went somewhere. Of course, John, I go there with 4 ideas, and then I choose which is best, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think we'll open it for you guys to jump in. So
hi, Ram.
Hi there, Robert.
Hi, I
Yes.
just want to say I'm a bit under the weather over here because I just got the first jab of the AstraZeneca.
Oh, well
So I'm
done.
just,
Congratulations.
I feel like I'm a bit dopey. But all I want to say was first, hello, and it's really nice to see you, John. We briefly met in Toronto, actually, when you were doing that piece for 7A11D.
Oh,
So that
that
goes
was
back,
one of my favorites.
yeah, I think it's 2016. It was a great time, and I thought the work that you did with the table there, if I recall correctly, you were using chalk on the chalkboard, and the room was very much like a classroom, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. You get me in a classroom, that's it.
Yeah, I thought the piece really made sense in that sense of like the context, right? The building itself, that particular room, and that the way you were doing that piece. Um, the chalk, I thought just was, yeah, it made it
You know,
was.
the chalk on the floor was like, I only put that there when I talked about that time about,
Yeah,
just to make it easier. That was a split. That was like 10
yeah.
minutes before I started. I put that, yeah, and then when I was writing, in the end I couldn't write on the board because it was just so intense. Like,
Yeah, and then we kept the charcoal kept breaking from your hand and everything, and
yeah,
you just kept
yeah,
going and going.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
good on
mean,
you.
but that's the thing. It's not about making the marks. It's also about
Exactly.
making it, like, it's like, it's the, mistakes are, like they're positive. They're just, or if they don't work out, it's the intention.
Yeah.
I would say that is the, for me, it's not performance. It's the act. What's it called? The act of doing, or something like that. Like that's what I'm kind of really interested. I'm not so worried about performance or the area of performance. But yeah, that was a really nice one. That was pretty. Was you there at the end?
Yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah,
That was.
yeah.
Oh, that was
What happened in the end?
But it just kind of it just got quite intense. Everybody was there, and I kind of just had to sit down as soon as possible. That was 6 hours. That was pretty hard, that one, I must admit.
John, can you tell us a little bit about the physical challenge, the like working with your body and the extending the possibility of or the ability of the body in relation to your past work and current work? Is something changed over the years?
I mean, I never see it as like too much of a challenge. Like, I think it's more harder not to do the work than to do the work. Because when I finish the work, especially if it's kind of like bit physical, or kind of a bit exhausting, then I can come away feeling I've just done everything I can do. That's it, because like, but if I do a short piece, it becomes really problematic, because I'm come away and I'm kind of like, well, it hasn't even finished yet, so I kind of, I've done some short pieces, and kind of they've, but the body, like, it takes me time to get into the work, and I kind of, like to get, I kind of like, what is it, the meaning of the work, or the understanding of the work, and then get into the meaning of the work, and then knowing the work, and then when I get to the knowing, I can go, that's what it is. But and it goes back to, like, not being able to read or write, so you kind of have to work harder, maybe building stuff, or kind of making things, and I would make these big things, and then I would actually be able to not say one word, or wouldn't say anything about the work, but I could make anything I wanted to. So the work ethic it's all about the work ethic, and that kind of got installed from building sites and working on, like, when you work and then you're able to go after you finish a job and stuff like that. So it's kind of more about that kind of period. But I prefer to kind of and now it's changing, now it is changing, but is, you can only do what you can do. And if you want to go, like, for example, I've done some stuff where I've done a performance and I'm supposed to be holding 2 sticks, and as soon as I start, I realize, and the stick falls down, and so the performance fails straight away, and that's fine, because it kind of releases something else. It's kind of really, it allows me to kind of have a bit more freedom in it. Like I can think of one performance where I kind of failed straight away, and I kind of, it's one of my, not the failure is the most important thing, but it freed me up to kind of do something else, you know. So it's yeah, there's no wrong way or right way. I think
Two questions, John.
Yeah.
I think my first would be, so I sort of came up with this term called the phantom prosthetic, which is what I use to describe when your body sort of becomes the sculpture, and then when you remove the sculpture or body apparatus, you have a feeling as if it's still there. I was just intrigued whether, especially because you do durational work, if you get that sense that the sculpture is sort of still a part of you, and sometimes you even sort of move as if you're sort of still wearing it.
Yeah, like the seesaw ones I've done, the seesaw, like that one. I mean, after I'm sitting there, maybe like having a conversation or in a social group, and the whole thing's going up and down still, and you know, you kind of get that sense. I know it will happen, and I kind of really enjoy them bits, because that's when I reflect on the work and I kind of have this contemplation time. It's really important for me to have that.
I think my second is, how do you feel when you're talking about there's something that goes wrong or there's unexpected? Do you feel as if it adds to the work, or do you have a moment where you're sort of unsure how to move forward?
Both, but I've learned to be open to the possibility of change. That's what I've kind of spent a lot of time doing. Like, even though I'm not necessarily making art all the time, like I'm kind of thinking, or I'm kind of developing. It's kind of a little bit of a different practice I have to do. Like, you know, like keeping my mind positive is quite a important thing, because it is my tool, you know, like my body's my tool, and if I'm kind of feeling low, then maybe, you know, my energy's low and stuff like that. So kind of that. But so your question again, what was it again? I forgot.
Just how do you feel initially when something goes, well, in a sense, wrong, or there's a change within the work, you know, like when something drops?
Yeah,
sort of
I mean, I feel everything. As long as I stick true to my kind of being, or like my work, then it's okay, because I've had stuff fail and I've kind of reacted. Like the table when I just showed you, I kind of walked off to the toilet. I was so kind of like shocked, and then I realized that it's only an hour. And so, and then I kind of okay. And then, like, I've learned to just be open to the possibility of anything to happen. Like outdoor performances, like in public space, you can decide whatever you want, but it can rain, or people can come up and say, "What are you doing?" And then it completely changes it. So I'm kind of although I'm not the most open, but I'm trying to be, you know. But my openness can be just like using my right hand instead of my left hand. You know, it's really simple.
I'm still open.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. It's like But yeah, no, it's kind of. But I've had things break on me where the performance or the object tells me that's it, it's finished, and I've stopped before the time, and if it feels right, or you know, it's like this kind of like, it's like it's more about the heart than the mind, you know. It's more about my heart tells me, or, you know, I just don't finish because I'm tired, or that, because I just know that would be a bit problematic for me after, you know, when I start kind of judging the work or judging myself. Like I've done that before. I felt, oh, well, that's enough. In the earlier times, I did it once and I haven't done it since.
Yeah, I think, well, there's like a great sense of regret. I remember doing it with one performance and just sort of walking and feeling like, oh, that's done, that's sort of fallen apart, so that was done. But then I felt later on I definitely should have stuck it out and kind of gone through it and seen what would come out of it. And I think that'd be the worst thing, to just have that sort of regret of not doing rather than continuing and doing.
I mean, at the same time, when you're doing it just for, and it doesn't feel like it's you know, you have to make that, you have to have that decision. You know, but you know, like, and then also about the time, you know, like people will talk about 8 hours, for example, and they go, oh, 8 hours, that's long. And it's like, well, in a day it's long, in a week it's not long, in a month is not long, and in, you know, like in 3 months it's not long at all. If I do 4 of them a year, then it's hardly anything, you know. So it's, yeah, it's kind of, I kind of see time a little bit different. That's why I say time is the most important element. And it is now, you know, it's the only thing I've got really is time.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I very much love your work.
Oh, thanks.
So yeah, thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Rebecca. I would like to extend the Rebecca questions, please, if I can, a short one. Do you have a moment in your performance where you are more, you're thinking you are more acting than performing in terms of feeling? Do you understand my question? John,
Okay.
you're free.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Is it me or John you're asking the question to? I got confused, I'm sorry.
I'm asking John the question. Did
Oh,
you?
you're asking me the question, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, because I said I'm extending Rebecca's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's acting. I think it's just doing it, you know, like, and there's, you're like, that's the object moving, you're moving, and that's what's happening. I love it because then it can, the reality of the situation is what it is. I kind of, I don't feel it's acting. Because I don't kind of necessarily repeat too much. So I kind of don't get that familiar with it. So it's kind of all new. Like, but yeah, maybe, no, I wouldn't say. I would say, yeah. But there is there is definitely
action.
there is definitely sometimes that I'm not always with it. You know, I'm definitely out of it, and I'm just walking, and I think, fuck, you know, or I'm kind of completely kind of thinking something different. I'm not always in this kind of world, you know, and I prefer not to be in this creative world. I want to be in the reality of what it is, me pushing a table, and so. But you know, there is long times like that, you know, when I'm not, and that's why I go back to this understanding, like the idea, the meaning. There's probably the meaning that I think that that's the point when I'm trying to navigate or understand what the work is and what I'm doing, or what me and how I'm kind of connecting with the object, something like that. But and then when I get past that, you know, I don't mind going past that to get to the knowing of it, you know. So it can happen, but maybe not so.
Okay, thanks. Elizabeth, please.
I was just wondering if you could talk a bit, John, about how you make decisions about what gesture you make. The reason I'm asking this question is I often find when I'm coming up with something, it's like I'm going through different gestural approaches and then something will kind of land that works. And I just wondered if you could talk a bit about your process a bit more in terms of that, how you make those decisions.
I don't know the terms or the thing, but my body has its own mind. My arm has a mind here. My arm has a mind here. So sometimes I can, you know, just walk around in a circle, and at some point that kind of motion, or if I do an infinity sign or an 8, it kind of will change the body. I kind of I really am really good at not thinking about what I'm doing, like here, and my body knows what it's doing, like so it's kind of that. But also, like with time, the awareness of the body, you know, if I'm using my right side, then my right side's going to get more worn out, and then my left side starts becoming more free, you know. And yeah, I can have many different experiences. I just kind of, I suppose, what if it happens that way of like gestures, it normally happens from the object or the materials that I'm using. So, you know, like holding a brick is no problem, but holding it for 6 hours, it completely changes, you know, kind of. So I definitely tend to go with these kind of like either weight or materials or stuff like that to it. I do like the other space I was talking about what I was going to use in RAM, which I kind of, we talk about like studios and stuff like that. This is kind of like, this is probably a bit of a scary space for me because it's got so much stuff in it. But the other space is much nicer because it's empty. And it's where I go in there. And what I've been doing the last few weeks, if I'm not on the ice, I'm just walking very slowly in the room, and I'm trying to minimize to maximize my experience. And I've been doing it for like, I'm waiting for something else to change. Sometimes I carry a brick, sometimes I just drag a piece of wood, you know, and this is the period of time I'm going through now. The last time I had to go back to the kind of, I call them body experiences or something like that. I just would go in there and I would decide at that moment what to do. And I kind of go through these phases. Now I need to go back in the studio because of this time and what's happened now has been, it's just been, it's so uncreative, you know, for everybody. So for me, now is the time to get in there. And like I say, I like to minimize the maximize sort of thing. But with long duration, you really don't have to kind of really, your body will have its own, it has its own voice, you know, kind of. But yeah, the decisions are very, very simple most of the time. And they normally lead on from one, I kind of feel I'm just making a body of work. And I don't really understand it, as you probably can tell. I can't really talk about it, like, no, because it's with me. So why would I need to understand it? Like, I wish I could be able to explain it properly. But in the books, like the drawing book I have, and you know, that kind of says something like about it. And then you see the repetition in ideas come up from one year to another year, and objects, you know, sort of thing. So.
Thanks, John. That's really helpful. And I think, you know, what you're talking about is embodied knowledge, isn't it? So you do know it, but you know it in your body.
Yeah. But it's like this center, like the body centering. Like a lot of dancers have it, like in the somatic practices. They use it all the time, you know. And you know, like if you go and stand up, like if you say I'm cold, but if you go outside and lay on the ice for like 3 hours, then you understand what it is. You can't kind of. Like, and for me, that's really helpful to have the physicality of it. Like, so yeah, it's kind of, I can't imagine it until I do. But a lot of the things, like I said, the biting one in Toronto, I don't want to do that one again. Well, I actually do want to do that one again, but I could never do that one again. And when I know that I never want to do it again, I know that I've kind of done, you know, I know that I've kind of, that's I'm kind of happy with that one. But it's all about the schoolroom with that one. You put me in a schoolroom or an art space, which was a schoolroom. I mean, how creative is that? I mean, such a negative experience I had of learning or school, and then the commitment or the kind of the focus is so much kind of clearer for me. So yeah, so like schools and stuff like that, I'm very happy to go into. And I've been actually performing in school yards with the kids. They're even better, you know. It's just such a nice experience because the enthusiasm or the stuff is really great from them. You know, when they're doing their they come out at lunchtime and I'm just pushing this thing around, and then they're like, oh, yeah. And then but when they see me a few times, they just understand. It's like this, you don't have to say anything, you know. Like it's all this thing about time, just to put in time. It's such a kind of, I'm so kind of grateful to kind of have that kind of the time aspect to it.
Thanks, Susan. I see you raising your hand. Yes, please. You're on mute. You have to.
Oh, hands up. Yeah, I should not talk so much.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, John, this has been so great. And I have such a strong sense of, obviously, your sense of your body and your interest in the investigation that drives you and the kind of tension that drives you. And I have a question in terms of fear. Like, does fear play a role, or you really do you have such a strong sense of presence in the trust that you have in your body? Is fear a relevant factor or not really?
Definitely. The fear of failure, and failure, definitely. Like I'm not the failure of the work, because I know it will just lead into something else, but the feeling of having to stop for the points I don't want to stop for, you know, like, because I feel that I've done enough, or like I need to go and go over there and do something else and something like that. But you know, I mean, I think the fear probably comes more on talking about the work than actually doing the work. That's why I like to be in a festival where I just all the time performing, you know, and I don't have to talk about it. So kind of
It's not like this internal fear really that drives you. It's more, you're driven by all the other things.
I mean, I would say fear is a good motivation as well. You know, I mean, I like I said before, I don't really like performing. You know, I don't really like being in that kind of situation. But it's for me. I think for me, art is about making something as the artwork, and performance for me really it's really fulfilling. Right, because of the making, I think the art is the making.
Thank you.
Feedback.
I have a question as well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, after having a long performance of 8 hours or whatever you have, how do you normally end? Do you have a specific way of ending? Does it stop when the gallery closes, or do you stop sometimes when?
I prefer no one to be there personally. But sometimes I can't wait for it to end.
Can people mute, please?
Yeah. Is it coming from me, or is it? Hello?
Something's wrong with the mute.
All right. Yeah, probably best I don't mute. Yeah. What was it again? Like about the finishing?
Yeah, when you end your performance, how do you end it?
I mean, sometimes, yeah. I mean, most of the time, I prefer to end it on my own, but of course, it's never possible. But sometimes I can't wait for it to end. So it's really good because you're like, oh, like the one in Toronto. Everybody's there, and I thought, oh shit, I'm gonna have to end now. And then they're all here, like, because I'm a mess, you know. I mean, like, I'm at that point. I'm just hanging on by a little string, you know. And then, but they were so nice. It was so nice, and it kind of felt like I kind of felt that I just went into them, you know. It was very nice ending. And from then I kind of realized that actually it's really important for people sometimes, the ending. So literally most of the time it just ends. Like
you go into the crowd or whoever is there and mix?
With that one, I kind of was spinning, and I really stopped really quickly. And I kind of really just, I kind of ignore what I've just done. It's this kind of, I just kind of just change. I just kind of, normally I might have to drink, or kind of, I kind of have to sit down, lay down or stretch or something like that. Because I would prefer to only do the performance. Sometimes I might need to go to toilet or something like that. And I can, but I'll go to toilet and I come back, you know. I won't kind of mess around, because if I start talking, I'm going to lose energy, and then I start promoting the work. Oh yeah, I'm doing the work, you know, like, yeah. But after, I kind of ignore it. I normally I just go to the toilet and probably have to wash or something like that. So it's always very different, but a lot of the times no one's there anyway, so it's good. No, but yeah. That,
thank you.
Yeah.
But then, would you like to ask?
Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay. Hope I'm not making any echo. Well, thanks very much in the first place for your talk, Jon. I'm a big fan of your work, and it's been amazing to listen to you to talk about it. I was curious to ask you two small questions, really. It's more curiosity mainly, but I was curious to know whether you do some kind of training or warm-up before the performances, because I imagine that with these long durations, your body must feel really exhausted. For example, in this example that you show us in the beginning, where you were writing the words in 3 layers, restricting your body only to use your left hand. I imagine how painful your left hand should have been by the end of it. So
Pretty numb. Yeah, yeah.
So I was wondering whether you rehearse for it or train your body to be prepared for that kind of things.
I mean, I tend not to do like rehearsing. I tend not to do because because some of them are uncomfortable, so I don't really want to go. And then because if I kind of start to really figure it out with the table in the ear or something like that, then maybe it's not a good idea to do, you know. So I tend to just make decisions like with the table in the ear. I would just get the measurement of my distance and where I need to put the leg or something like that. My kind of training is kind of like meditation for life, trying to keep myself like balanced, which is quite difficult sometimes.
Important.
And then of course I do some physical training as well, you know. But the best thing I can do to when I do a performance is get to the space in one piece. That is, and it's really sometimes it's really difficult to get to a space when you know the space and you know the space is telling you like it's going to go, you know, and then you just kind of have to get there. So I focus. Sometimes it's really difficult to focus on just walking down the street, get to the space, because your body don't want to go there. You know, your mind's saying no, let's not go there today or something like that. Sometimes, you know. So yeah, it's kind of. I don't. Yeah, no. I like in the earlier works where there were more kind of like movement. There may be some kind of stretchings or not before. Like I say, normally I would have sometimes, you know, like with the bigger ones I'm doing. I'm built like with the one in China, for example. I kind of built it like 3 days before, then had to take it away. And then the night before I had to build it. I did 5 hours of building or 6 hours. And then I had like 3 hours sleep. And then I had to run up and down on this ramp, you know. So you know, but you can only do what you can do. My body tells my body is quite good at telling me what to do. And if I'm kind of exhausted, then you just see the exhaustion I just slow down, you know, my body slows itself down. So it's, yeah, I've been quite lucky with, of course there is injuries and stuff like that, but like, you know, but yeah, like for example, if I'm doing a performance one day and I'm doing a performance the next day, I might use my left hand, and then the next day I use my right hand. So because I won't use my left hand 2 days because it's gonna be really, because one day's okay, but get the inflammation in the body is problematic, you know.
You already answered my second question. Actually, I was going to ask you, because you mentioned before you were like really feeling at all times and paying attention to all what was happening around you during the performances. So I was going to ask you whether you are not controlling, but trying to be self-conscious of what's happening inside your body as well. And you already mentioned, I think this quite clear that you do, of course.
Yeah, but in like, for example, when I did this thing in Montreal, I had this big witch's hat, like this kind of big cone, and I was pushing it around. But when the kids come out and they were young, they were kind of, I can't remember because I don't see so much. They're this high or something, like maybe 10 or something like that. But I'm quite, my attention comes a little bit more in the environment. But when they go back inside, then my experience, then, you know, the material and me becomes like, you know, everywhere. And then once if you use repetition, like if you push something, once you understand where it's going to go, or you know it can go somewhere else, but like a cone, it's going to go round in a circle, then you don't have to worry about the direction. Then your body can start to kind of start to navigate it, or you can start to, you know, things can start to happen. So that's what's really good about repetition. And I kind of never one turn or never one movement is the same as well. That is, for me, that's kind of like, and I kind of think you know, a lot of people see that it's always different. It's never the same, even though I'm doing the same thing. But it's kind of quite important that I don't actually repeat the performance. And
That's
I don't actually.
That's our interesting tension, right? Between the will for repetition and the impossibility of repetition. I think it's very interesting tension there.
Yeah. And like rehearsing, if I've done some kind of things where I rehearsed a certain movement, but then I get injured because I rehearse, you know, because I don't want to foul, or I want to do the best I can. So I gave up years ago doing that because I got more injuries that way. Like you know, like I can only my body can actually only do what it can do. You know, it's actually So is kind of, that's all it can do. So of course sometimes it is kind of a little bit challenging, but it's more challenging not to do it than to do it sometimes.
Thank you.
I think Carrie had a question, maybe last question, because we're coming to an end here.
Hi John, thank you for the talk. It's really interesting. You've just answered one of my questions, because I was going to ask you about rehearsing and whether you feel the need to kind of build up a muscle memory for an action. So you've covered that. My other one was, I'm really obsessed by time as well. And I wondered whether you felt you experienced time in a different way over this last year, because everything's been so strange.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody has, but I try to, you know, I've done a lot of work about, like, I've been recording these kind of how many people died, how many people have been born on a certain day, like from this World Ometer website. I don't do it anymore because, especially now what the things happen, but I did it, and I've made some artworks about it. And I want to appreciate time for the moment now. This moment now is the most important piece of time, and I kind of and in this moment now, and it really is helpful for duration or performance in general. I think a lot of people, like, or any kind of repetition or something like that, would talk about time as kind of in that way. So kind of for me it's kind of like I said before, it's the most important aspect of, well, if I don't have any time, then I'm not even here. So kind of I like to really be aware of it all the time. Like, and I'm not, you know, especially this last year, I get distracted with life just sitting there sometimes and just kind of like meditation is good as well. I kind of like that as well. That's a nice piece of time. And time also, you can change time in the performance. Like there's certain patterns you can do, like 8 infinity is a completely different experience of time. Like when I did the 8 in China, that was pretty shocking. That was I didn't realize that 8 hours could go so quickly, you know. It felt like an hour.
What's the longest time you've done out of interest?
I did a club, like it was 22 hours.
Okay, yeah.
It's horrible. It was horrible, but you know, there were some points I was so kind of, I just don't, you just cannot, you cannot, yeah, it was in a group thing. It was like people would come in every hour, and so then you have to deal with this energy, other people's energy as well, and then the space got smaller and smaller and smaller. But I actually kind of feel I would like to do longer, but it doesn't mean more physical. It just means I just feel that I could cope with doing longer now, you know. Yeah, maybe because of these conditions and stuff like that, like 24 hours. I think that's what I'm planning. And my next thing is like, because organizations of festivals, they can't, for me, they can't, they kind of, the festivals, for them to give me big space to do a big piece is very difficult for them, and then they're not, it's not, you know, it's kind of a, you know, because they have like 20 artists, so they're not going to do that for me. So now I've got to find a way of doing different works in different, you know, in different places. This is problematic, I think. And then the time will come as well. I have systems of doing, what was it, 26-hour days, 13 days to do every cycle and stuff. I have lots of different systems, but it's the opportunities, you know, that's the thing. And I found this year, I think for me, this, when everything has just been taken away, you know, it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of quite challenging now, I think.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much. I will just mention that in Israel, everything is starting to coming back. It seems like there was nothing happened right now. So, and it's coming towards you, towards us, wherever you are with the vaccination. So I hope that things will be changed, and we'll get back to normal and to action again. I guess it's coming. So be patient. But thank you so much, John, for opening your heart and your studio. And it was a brilliant. It's always brilliant talking to you and watching you and your work. I'm really sorry about the echo. I think because there were two things that working together, there was a problem here. I will try to fix it the next time. Thank you so much for everybody who stayed, participated, and watch us. And see you next in the next meeting of Draw to Perform Online, hopefully somewhere in May that's coming up. So thank you and good evening or good morning, wherever you are. Ciao.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Bye, John. Thanks.
Bye-bye.